Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do continue, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. Now, Deku and his group had Kyoka Jiro return to the manor. And this was quite surprising. Jiro returned thanks to Mina, and Mina is a zombie they have never encountered. She shows massive intelligence, and she's also shown to be highly resistant to bullet fire. Izuku and his group, all of them, have varying experiences with this level of zombie. One that can use its quirk, shows intelligence, and shows mental faculties of a human. And the best way of saying it, they're like a crazy, but worse. Because a shot to the heart, even one of their organs, may not take them down. And Deku, yeah. After Jiro was returned to their group, she wanted to be isolated, and this was rather bad. She was still healing from her burns, and after what happened with Todoroki, she rather does hate him right now. He was not a very good guy, in her eyes. And Deku, whenever he went to go talk with Jiro, she made a move. She came on to him, and while they were making out, Deku tried to get her to stop. He knew that she was in a very delicate state of mind. However, she talked about how she was scared. She was afraid. All those days she was left alone with her. Mina terrified her. She wanted somebody to just hold her. Somebody to be here for her right now. Especially because her mind is deteriorating. She bit Izuku on the shoulder, and Deku discovered that Jiro was infected. Now, after this happened, Jiro was isolated. She went dormant and was allowed to be restrained by everybody. She allowed them to take her in, tie her up, and just leave her there. I mean, the idea was to kill her, but people are going back and forth on that. They don't know anything about what's going on. As far as they're aware, Jiro is going crazy. But I mean, they can't just put down a friend like that after they return. They already started mourning her. But Izuku, he knows the real truth. He also knows he has a time limit. Most infected take weeks to begin to exhibit symptoms, begin to actually turn. Go crazy, go zombie. Jiro never went crazy. She went straight zombie. And Izuku knows his internal clock is ticking. And that was alarming to him. He felt peace. He didn't feel scared. He knew he was going to die. And honestly, it's relieving in a strange way. But what was not relieving was finding out that Setsuna was pregnant. Now, Izuku, he has a lot going through his mind. He didn't sleep that night. He felt compelled not to. Something is already happening within his body. He doesn't want to admit it. But after a few hours, he began to feel it. He felt less tired, more aware. He doesn't want to flat out say it to everybody, but he's going to have to. Setsuna doesn't know. Nobody knows. Jiro is turning. And the best he can do right now is put her out of her misery. Currently that on Deku's mind. Him staring at the sunrise and thinking of it a lot. Currently, him must stand up and turn. Him walking to a room and heading inside. Currently Jiro sitting there, somewhat rocking back and forth as she does somewhat look up at Deku. And Deku will get somewhat stare at her. Jiro making direct eye contact with him, but we're gonna close her eyes. Her trying to slam her head down and rock her head backwards. Trying to slam her head into the wall. And Deku, we're gonna walk over, bending down and telling her, it's gonna be okay. Thoughts are messy. Can't focus. Hear it. I hear it. Jiro, I. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. I know. How long ago did she bite you? Come on, tell us. How long ago? It's a few days. Less than a week. Le- less than a week. My head hurts. My brain's throbbing. I can feel sick. Stomach, chest, pain. Can't breathe. Deku telling Jiro that he's going to help her. He's going to take her outside. And he's going to, well, he's going to do what he needs to. He is sorry. Currently, Deku brings something up. And Jiro, she's going to have a piece of wood put directly into her mouth. Deku fastening it around her head. As currently, he would not step forwards. Him trying to get a hand on the chair and going to pick it up. And Jiro does not sit there. Deku, feeling her, trying to fight as he doesn't hold it up in the air. Currently, him carrying it out of the room. Now, Deku, he does actually set the chair down outside. Currently, him with a lot going through his head. And Jiro, she does this on turn. Her still rocking back and forth, and Deku staring at her. Before, he's going to do one thing. He does go to bring up a revolver. Him going to open up the actual compartment and check the cylinder. Him putting one bullet inside and going to load it carefully. Currently, him pulling back the hammer and looking over at Jiro. As he would walk over and stand behind her, bringing it up and telling her, "Okay, just look out. Make sure to get an eyeful. It's beautiful. He'll tell her when. Okay? Just please don't look down." Her turning her head up, and Deku would express, he's gonna start at 10. He'll fire at 1. 10. Currently Deku going to actually pull the trigger. And Jiro, Ami has the bolt fly through her head as everybody does get to hear the sound of a massive gunshot. And Deku, he does just don't stand there. Him turning and walking over. Currently, him letting go of the revolver as he does just don't sit down. Waiting for everybody to get outside. The best he could do is surprise her. Not tell her whenever he was actually going to do it. He let her enjoy the moment. He thought about doing it at 5, but she was in pain. Is that going to happen to him? His mind will be together for a few days before he hears it. It get into his psyche, mess him up. Maybe take some time to himself. Figure this all out. No. He can't do that. The Hive has been calling to him. And the military say they have ideas. Theories? Right. Because that's a good idea. Drive out to the dam? Well, he's a dead man already. A dead man walking. You know, he thinks he finally does understand that term. Though, it isn't good. Currently everybody running outside. Some with weapons and ready. And the person on the roof, they looked over. And they saw Deku just sitting there. Them confused. However, they turned their head and saw Jiro. Them also making their way down. And currently they were the first to arrive. As, right now, we do actually have Todoroki, who does hold up his weapon and see Izuku. Currently, him sitting there, messing with his fingers and thinking about a few things. Him looking up and staring towards the sun, with a smile on his face. And currently everybody else does get to come walking up. Deku, turning and beginning to walk up the steps of the manor, expressing to all of them. They need to have a meeting about a lot now. They don't have much time. It's complicated. But Deku brings his hand up, grabbing the side of his shirt and revealing the area he was bitten, telling them about how he believes Jiro was bitten by a different variant. And that variant, it doesn't go crazy. It skips a stage. And everyone, they do stare at Deku. And this does alarm many of them, as currently two of the girls, they do just won't sit there. The idea in their minds, and both of them, they do just won't speak up. Currently, Nedre stepping forwards and talking about how that's bullshit. And there actually is Setsuna, who will go to express that's not right. And Deku does look at the two. Everybody looking at the situation. And there actually is Momo, who would go step forwards and walk down the stairs, bring her hand up and smacking Deku. Currently, her staring at him and yelling about what's going on. And Deku, he does just go to take the slap. Him staring at Momo. And Momo stares at Deku's face. He scares her. Honest to God, he scares her. She's heard some of the things he's done and seen some of them. But right now, there's that expression on his face. His entire head looks steady, calm. He doesn't have it raised in superiority. He has it somewhat lowered. He's not, well, begging like a dog would, lowering his head. But his eyes look softer. And Deku, he tells her, he's sorry. Jiro told him. Hell, he saw it firsthand. He mulled over it all night. He knows he's going to die. Fact is, his skin's already turning waxy in the area. That's how he knows. He doesn't feel fatigued. He doesn't feel tired right now. All he knows is that whatever's going on inside of her body is going to happen to his. They can get her buried. But right now, he needs to talk to the military. Currently, Nedre running forwards. Her bringing her hands up and grabbing onto Izuku. Her yelling about how he's lying and how she doesn't believe what's happening to him is real. It can't be true because it isn't true. Mina is something different. But how does her just bring her hands up and going to actually hold onto Izuku? And Deku, he has going to bring her up into a hug. And everyone does go to see that. And there actually is Bakugo, who does go to stare at this. He knew that Deku and Nedre were friends. But honestly, after everything going on in Ochako, he would have more assumed him turning his head and currently seeing Nedre crying, her with tears in her eyes, and somewhat holding her hand up over her stomach. Her just thinking about a few things. And Bakugo, he just stared at that for a minute, before Nedre would turn around and walk back into the manor. Setsuna, I'm going to turn around and walk back into the manor. My bad. Now, Bakugo does turn back to Nedre. Him with a few things currently going through his mind, beginning to just process this. And Deku, we're going to turn, talking about how he wants to talk to Bakugo privately, along with Todoroki. He's got a few plans, they all need to get prepared. I'm going to turn to Melissa and asking her, how many days does she think it would take to build a bomb? And this does somewhat take her aback, though she does express, what kind of bomb? Big. Very big. I looked over it last night. I think I might know where the Red Tower is, but it's more of a guess. I could be wrong, and I really don't want to be. We need to talk to the military. The idea for a robot is out the option. Out the ass right now. We need a vehicle. We need a big one. So, I'm gonna go meet with the military. See what I can do. And I don't expect to know much. If I come back, we'll have it figured out. I have an offer I know they can't refuse. Currently, Deku gonna bring out a set of keys. Walking over, picking up his gun, and then going to walk over to a vehicle. Him climbing inside and going to leave. Now, this doesn't surprise everybody. And there currently is Bakugo, who is confused. Currently, him running over and after the vehicle. And Deku, when he does get to the gate, he got out of the car to open it up. And Bakugo, he is currently seen by Deku. Him running over and talking about a few things. Currently, him telling the nerd he's not leaving without him. Besides, he's got a few things he wants to say. The nerd seriously can't believe he's fucking dying. And Deku, he was gonna turn. Currently, him getting back over to the car and driving it forwards. Bakugo going to actually close the gate behind them as they do get back in the vehicle. Them going to plot out the route to get to the dam. And the two, they do begin to drive. And Bakugo, him and Deku have a small road trip. It's rather weird. I mean, getting there won't be hard. Follow the trails through the city, and then backtrack a few ways and go the path these people claim the military have come before. They've tried to stalk them, tried to go there and get there. And it does mean a bit. And while these two currently drive away from the city, there is with somebody they do to drive into the city. Currently them with a lot going through their mind. And they've been a bit wary. They found a place outside, but they were concerned for many reasons. The place looked to be makeshift, and it wasn't the outpost they thought it was. They've tried coming into the city from multiple directions, and so far, this one looks promising. Them seeing a massive manor in the distance, along with the fact that there is signs of post-apocalyptic inhabitation. And currently Chizuki, he does a drive over. Him arriving at the manor gates about an hour after Deku and Bakugo already left. And Bakugo and Deku, they had a bit of a talk. Deku, he just sat there driving quietly. And Bakugo was staring at Deku, trying to ask him some questions. Number 1. How does he know that Jiro was infected? I mean, the bite is obvious. But how does he know that it's a different strain, if they can even say it that? I don't. There he is, it's the same version. We've seen the infected change different ways. Bakugo, I've put a lot together over the last few hours. The pit makes zombies. There was what Mina said. If you want to be as beautiful as me, go to the pit. So what? You're just gonna trade in your humanity? Trade it in at the fucking door? No. Jiro was suffering from a lot. I don't want to be like her, and I don't know what I'm going to be like if I turn into Mina. Bakugo, my power, if I'm able to use it as a zombie, everybody around me is going to be dangerous. In danger. Sorry, I've got a lot in my mind. I'm sure you do. So is there a reason why, Nejire and Setsuna seem to get pretty emotional there? Yeah, there's a few reasons for that. I'm waiting for an answer. You know, to be honest, I never expected you to be the type of guy who went behind his girl's back. It's not like that. I mean, me and Nejire, that was an accident. An accident. Yeah. We hooked up well, a few times. And how many is a few? I don't know. Listen, the same night Ochako broke my heart, that's when that started. Really? Yeah. And then there was a week later. So you two met up again a week later. No, no, well, that's not. Setsuna found out. She found out. So what happened then? She get angry at you, yell at you. I mean, how'd you pull that off? I didn't. She made a move on me. So what? You just hide both? They know. They, they know? You're serious. They know about this. They know about each other? Yeah. Oh. Shit. So what about Setsuna? Yeah. She she and I have been a bit reckless. Is that why she was acting a little emotional at the manor? She grabbed her stomach, you know. I'm assuming that's because recent events or you know. She said she took a test. Um is that what this is about? No, Bakugo. It's about the idea that Bakugo, my kid won't get to see their father. You don't know that. I do. Currently Deku gonna turn. And Bakugo, he just don't see it in Deku's face. Currently, one of his eyes, dilating, we're gonna dilate back. And Deku would have turned back to the road, as if nothing happened. And Deku does his own focus back on his driving. Currently, him pulling up to a place and going to express that they need to at least be aware of this. The dam's down the road, and once they do arrive there, he's not sure what to expect. A high military force. I mean, that's the best option. Otherwise, they're going to run into a lot of weird things. So, you ready for this? You know, you. I don't know what to say about the dam or about the fact that I think I'm going to die. I seem pretty damn sure of it. You do, and that's the problem. Are you sane? Are you steady? You got your head on right. Straight? I don't know, Bakugo. I'm actually feeling tired now. But at the same time, I feel good. It's been about half a day, I think, give or take. I might need to sleep soon, but right now there's no adverse effects. Document this. Find my notebook. Keep it. By the way, while I do have you here, could you keep a promise for me? What kind of promise? A simple one. I know it's going to be asking a lot. I mean, it really, really is. I want you to take care of the group. You serious? You or Todoroki. Tell him this, please. I just I don't know. Currently, Deku turning his head, looking outside and seeing Yoichi, the first user of One for All. And Deku, he doesn't turn. Him going to roll down the window and tell Yoichi. He's sort of busy at the moment. And Bakugo does turn his head, staring back at Deku. Yes, I'm sorry. We were able to get through. And, well, as far as we are aware, the feeling you've been getting, that's us. We're letting you know. If you use your quirk, you will accelerate the infection rate. But we do believe that you will turn, if not die during the progress. Are you serious? Yes. I'm truly sorry. I wish I could tell you more. Say more. Your generation is dealing with what is amount to our sin. The sins of the past. We should have taken the problem more seriously. Done more. However, now you are going to suffer. I believe that this may be singularity that you are being affected with. However, you may overcome it. What are you talking about? Now, Bakugo, he doesn't sit there in the passenger seat, staring at Deku, talking to a mysterious nobody. Okay, yeah, no, he's definitely nuttier than squirrel shit right now. And Deku, he does still want to talk to the person. Him turning back eventually and beginning to drive. Him not even bothering to roll up the window. And Bakugo does try to ask about that. To which Deku does try to explain a bit more about One for All. About the idea of a quirk that can be passed down. And Bakugo doesn't really believe it. Because if that's the case, Izuku, he's still, and this, it doesn't really give Deku comfort. There's a chance, but he doesn't want to take it. And there actually is over at the dam. Right now somebody is standing guard, and they are waiting for anything to happen. Rates of infection have been going up. Rates of sickness. Some other people have been taken by it. And they really don't want a repeat. They don't want another spread of rampant outbreak. It's gonna be bad. However, all their personnel might turn eventually. The man going to bring his hand up and scratch at an old scar. Currently, him with the idea in his mind. You can be bit multiple times from what that crazy doctor bitch said. However, numbers do vary. There's a tolerance. There's a way of monitoring it. It's weird. If you're exposed enough, you will eventually just turn. Go crazy. I mean, that's the middle stage. Stage 1, human. Stage 2, crazy fucking psycho. Stage 3, fleshy monster. Not really a good idea. And currently there actually is what they do to hear an engine in the distance. Currently it driving up as Deku. He doesn't sit there. And currently there actually is where people do have their guns pointed and aimed directly at the vehicle. Currently Deku bringing his hand up and turning off the engine. Right now people being a step out of the barricade door that doesn't open. And everyone, they do begin to surround the vehicle. Them seeing only two individuals who do go to sit in the car. And Deku, he is ordered to throw the keys out of the window, to which he would immediately comply. Him expressing, he is the leader of the Manor group. He is here to talk to them about a few things. Somebody came to his camp to talk to him months ago, and he wants to let them know. His group explored more of the inner city, but they ran into new variants. Some they may not believe actually exist. They ran into a variant that does have a quirk. He'd like to talk to their leader and even meet with their doctor. And Bakugo turns his head. Currently, the men staying there. As Deku does begin to express, he'd like to let the doctor know that the anomaly sends his regards. And the man does also stare at Deku, him a bit confused, before bringing up his radio and going to express about how they have two individuals at the gate and one is claiming to be the anomaly. And this, it does cause the radios to go silent. Before there is, where the doctor, she sat there in her lab, currently her looking down and staring at something. Before, she heard the word anomaly over the radio. She wasn't paying attention to that broadcast. Oh, someone's here. They want medical attention. They want help. They want to be taken in as a refugee. Either they get shot and buried in a ditch or brought to her experiments. Same old, routine. Or she'll just hear a distant gunshot and that'll be the end of it. But right now, that word, anomaly, the very idea that that boy is still alive should not be possible in her head. Plausible. Nearly a year. Her turning and walking over, looking at the data she got from Mizuku. And there currently is where Deku doesn't hold up his hand, expressing to them. And there actually was the doctor's voice can be heard over the radio. Them asking if the person in question is missing a digit on their left hand. And the man would confirm this. The doctor expressing to the person in charge. They need to meet immediately. They need to do a lot immediately. After this is all said and done, they need to know. He might be the very foundation for the cure. And people stare at Izuku. And Bakugo, he has a turn, staring at Deku too. Because this is not what he's expecting. Now, currently there actually is where a vehicle is set out. And Deku, he does actually don't stand there. We're now him sitting against the hood of his car. And Bakugo is still in the passenger seat. People have weapons trained on Izuku. But he was acting as if he was going through a stroll in the park and nothing could bother him. And there actually is where a person who just won't step out. Deku turning his head and seeing the doctor. As he's to bring his hand up and pull the thing off of his mouth that's covering it. Before going to express to the doctor about how it's been a while. And the lady who just won't step forwards, staring at Izuku a bit confused. Him expressing, bring up his left hand. It's him. Besides, he dyed the hair to hide from their people. Someone spotted him once, and he took the liberty of pulling a bullet in their squad. So yeah, go ahead and blame him for that. And their actions of the man does just don't step forwards. Deku turning and staring at him, expressing, he's here because he's an offer to make him. Really? You do? Doc, how successful is the cure? The chance of it is very... Currently Deku bring up his weapon. Him firing directly at the doctor as everyone did a turn, aiming their guns directly at Deku. Currently the doctor taking a strike directly to the head as she's going to fall backwards. And Deku, the moment he doesn't stand there, people have their guns trained right on him. And Deku, he going to do one thing. Hold up his left hand, turn the gun, and drop it. Before expressing, okay. Deku bring both of his hands up, talking about it. Right now he wants to talk to the leader face to face. And that was personal. Though right now they may not want to pull the triggers on him. And the person, their turn. Them begin to ask their leader about the orders. And the man, he's got to respect the balls the kid just walked in here and demonstrated. though he's a bit confused. Because Izuku, he's talking like a dead man, someone who has nothing to lose. And Deku, he would confirm this, bringing his hand up and showing off the latest injury. Expressing again, he's the only person they got who's volunteering for a suicide mission. So, if they can get a bomb made in the next couple days, that'd be real fucking lovely. Besides, if they can't, they're gonna lose a window to get into the hive. And the man does stand there. I'm a lot more. Yeah, no, they can use this. The doctor was unethical. They had concerns about her practicality and her science. He cut her a deal. And that deal has cost him some people. Not only refugees, but even some of his very own men. Though, her assistant will carry on her research. Somebody who's more practical, more ethical. The crazy bitch certainly was somebody else. Somebody less than human. And ironically, she was trying to make people more human. Now, the man would express stepping forwards. If the boy is looking for a way to throw away his life, then what is it? They already have an idea for how to take down the hive. Though it's not a real good one. Huh. Let me guess. You already got some components put together, right? Mostly. We have ordnance. High ordnance. Enough that will take down a city block. We can detonate it remotely. Set everything off. Currently, I'm going to at least express. Some of the ordnance are from missiles. Some of them are from, well, tank shells. Fact is, they've also had somebody they know personally put it together. It was a shot, an idea. But the project was shelved. It was completed, but it was shelved. Currently, that bomb is sitting on a truck they have in the warehouse. It's not been active, not been primed. Though, if he wants to drive it in, tell him. Hell, they're willing to hand it right over to him. But they're going to be keeping the detonator. Listen, there's more important things to that. The thing at the city center. They could bring his hand up and grabbing his head. Him looking around. And the area, it does begin to look a little red. Currently Deku looking up towards the man and going to start shake his head. Snapping it back a bit back more to reality. A bit more alarmed because his brain just went completely fuzzy. Hello? What? Right. No, I was. You are on a clock. Hmm? Yeah. Listen. Whatever you have, we need. I don't care. I know a place. That's it. How long will it take you to get it prepared? A few days. Though, if you got a mechanic, let us know. We might need somebody else to help make that bomb bigger. A bit more of a boom. We have people. Just, we'll let you know whenever to use it. How far is the range? Pretty far. Trust us. We can probably activate it from here. But if we're right, it should be about 50, 60 maybe. Doesn't matter. Whatever you're going to do, kid, it's a one-way trip. You know that, right? Not expected to get out of there alive? It's believed that somewhere in the center, that's where the pros fought. The infected, the non-infected, even people who just had powerful quirks. I heard a rumor that Mount Lady fell. And she caused quite a lot of damage. So, find a street and drive off into her stomach, I guess. I don't know. Hell. Giant bitch is probably rotten by now. If she's not alive. I know. Listen, I'm not gonna bore you, but we need more time. Currently, the man gonna turn and expressing a few things. They need to get this vehicle ready. What this kid says is true. And there currently is somebody they do least could express about possibly testing the kid to make sure this variant he's infected with isn't contagious. Because clearly, if it can infect him, it can affect them. And the man would return. Him walking over and flipping the doctor's body over, bringing his hand down and grabbing a syringe. Currently, him picking it up and turning to Izuku, tossing it over, expressing how he wants a damn blood sample. And he wants it now, since they might be able to study it and learn something. Especially if it's from the anomaly that the crazy bitch ranted about over and over and over again. And Deku, he does at least give them what they want. Currently, him and Bakugo getting back in their vehicle and going to drive away. And the man, he doesn't really care. Somebody's finally going to drive that goddamn Hail Mary directly into the city. There are people here who respect the man. There are people here who understand he will make sacrifices to lead them. But there are also people here who left. Everybody who abandoned their post, they either did not see him fit to lead the team or thought he was not mentally sane. If he kills his men, that's not good. If he tries to rule through fear, that's not good either. He's tried to use a mixture of both. But even then, the men get restless. The refugees that they've taken in already, such as some of their families, are the only reason they stayed. They have a lot they need to do, a lot to contain, and a lot to manage. Their own group has only gotten this far because they have the leverage on power. And if that does change, it will make this entire group fall apart. Though, if the infection can be destroyed, killed out of the city, there is a potential future the doctor did pose. All of the infected begin to deteriorate. They begin to wither away eventually and die. Not a bad option. But he's not really an optimist. And that does go through his mind. And back at the manor, there is where Izuku, he has to pull up. Right now him walking to a room and going to knock on the door. And there is where Setsuna does get someone sit there. Her with a lot going through her head. And Deku, whenever she is to open the door, she immediately decides to look at him. Her bring her hands up and pulling him into a hug. Deku holding on to her as she doesn't pull back. Her gonna lean in for a kiss as Deku would have turned his head. Right now her a bit confused and then going to remember. Before she just does get someone to rest her head against his chin. And Deku, he just does go to sit there for a minute. A family. A goddamn family. Before all this started, whenever he was 14 and he thought he'd never be a hero, the same day All Might took him on as his apprentice and trained him. It's hard to think that an hour before that, less than that, he was that kid who thought he'd be working in an office shop. He'd never get married. He'd never have a family. He'd just, well, fall into a trap for society. He'd watch heroes do what they do best. And he'd be like the background character of a comic book. You know, random civilian number, who knows. But whenever he got a quirk, some of that began to change. He worked hard to get it. And in the end, it just delayed the inevitable. And now here he is, a father to be, and Setsuna, a mother to be. He doesn't mean to disrespect his dad, but it looks like he won't be there for his kid either. Especially whenever he'll probably need him most. You okay, Izuku? I want to hold on a little longer. I don't know. I'm just scared. You're... You... You... I know. Just... Let me hold you. It's gonna be fine. I'll protect you. I'll make sure things will be okay. I'm pulling back. And for the first time in a long time, Deku, he doesn't give out a smile. One that would make the symbol of, well, not symbol of peace. That would make All Might, Toshinori Yagi, proud of the boy. And Setsuna does at least pull away. Her gonna turn and express a few things. About how the doctor that arrived earlier, they need to talk to. Because he is here. They let him come in. Especially because there's something that she doesn't want him to see. And Deku, he would turn. Them running down the hallway, not running down the hallway, making their way down the hallway, as Deku, whenever he doesn't get to the intersection, currently the, bigger hallway, he'll get a turn. Currently him seeing a little girl run down the hallway and turn left. Her running again and looking at the windows. And Deku does this and stare on. Before there actually is where Eri would get a turn. Her seeing Izuku and seeing Setsuna. And Deku, he's just surprised. There's a kid here. And right now Deku does go to meet Chizuki. When he does to walk into the room, the man does to express a few things. Currently, him, still unpacking a few of his bags, and with some of his notes sitting on the table. Going to turn and look at Izuku. Him stepping forwards and bringing his hand up. Currently, him with a gloved hand expressing. He's Dr. Chizuki. He's happy they allowed him to stay here. And Deku does stare at the man. Turning to Setsuna, as she could express, going to nod. He brought his daughter. They couldn't turn him away. He also brought a lot of useful things. Yes, as I've told the group prior, I had a proper warning of the infection. I prepared accordingly. The fact is, my vehicle is set up with a few things. Supplies. I can give you a location, access to my bunker. It will suffice for a while. It had enough resources to last for 20 years for me and my daughter. However, the more people, the less time spent it will be. You believe so? I do, yes. I brought, well, there was a lot of room in the truck. I brought a vials with the food. It should help last until next winter. As long as you guys aren't going to get tired of MREs. Now, Deku stares at the man, beginning to express a few things. Because right now, he wants to at least give a doctor he might have trusted, a better chance. Expressing to him a few things. Asking him if he studied the infection at all. And the man would go to express, telling Izuku a few things about his research, as Deku does give him a blood sample. And the man is rather concerned, especially hearing about a zombie that has the potential to use quirks, because he believed that whatever this was going on was a singularity that eliminated quirks from the human genome. However, he still has yet to fully understand the phenomenon, especially after some of the things that Izuku does claim are a part of it. And what the group has said before, it just does not make sense. And there currently is Deku, who he does have a lot going through his head. 2 days begin to pass, and Deku, he only gets about 10 hours of sleep in this time. He feels a bit more stressed out, a bit more strange. However, he also is beginning to form a bit more of a headache, break into a bit more of a fever. Along with that, there is the fact that his body, his torso, 10% of it has become waxy, and he does not like this. Deku hasn't heard that whisper in his mind. So far, he's kept most of his mental faculties. However, his vision, it also is beginning to turn a tint of orange. And Deku doesn't really like that. And there is where he does go to pick up a phone. Currently, him dialing in to the military. And they do go to express a few things, talking about it. Right now, the truck's ready. So, if he's got what he wants, they'll meet him out somewhere. Meet them on the highway. Then things will be okay. Hell, if it knows he's coming, you might want to get a move on. And if he's still sane, hurry the fuck up. They need a rational suicide man to do this. Somebody ready for the mission. And Deku, he does his own stand. Currently, him looking at the list of names he wrote down. Some for a boy, some for a girl. And at the top of that list is one name he does like. One name if it's a girl. Another name for if it's a boy. I mean, no disrespect to his father. But Toshi. Toshi has a nice ring to it. I mean, yeah. He wrote a few things down about his mother and father. A description of them. In case the kid ever asks. And hopefully Setsuna will tell them. Don't assume. Just don't assume Izuku. Ow. And bring his hand up. And Deku, he is going to feel the pain. He feels the way his chest does begin to have his heart pound. He can feel his heartbeat in his ears. And this is not very good. And currently Deku, he has to walk out of the room. Currently, him making his way out and asking somebody for a ride. Because Izuku, he needs somebody who can do this right now while he tries to get himself together. And this is not very good. Currently, Deku standing outside as everybody, they do just don't see him off. Deku's already asked a few things of the group, a few things of everybody. And, well, it is rather not good. He's asked all of them to try and stick together, try and figure things out. They already buried Jiro. They already buried Ochako. They won't get to bury him. Make sure he's the last one of them that dies. That's all he's asking. Take care of each other. And there currently is where Nejire does it a run up. Currently, her hugging Izuku along with Setsuna. And Deku, he does hold on to these two. Before, he does let go. And the doctor does his own stare on, watching Izuku as he would turn, getting into the car, and going to hold up a sweet snack. And with a lot going through his mind, as currently Bakugo, he does go to drive the vehicle. Him having one last chat with Izuku. And there currently is ready to pull up and see a massive semi-truck currently sitting there. It's missing its trailer. And clearly there has been metal welded onto it along with a few other things. Along with what he can presume to be the massive bomb they've created. A jury-rigged mess of explosives. However, a powerful jury-rigged mess of explosives. And Deku, he does his own stand there. Currently the rig having its engine idle as Deku would step out of a vehicle. Currently Bakugo going to turn, and at least going to bring his hand up to Izuku. Deku turning and going to give him a fist bump. Right now Deku turning back and walking over to the truck. And Bakugo does just not sit there. Currently, Deku walking over and being told about what's going on, and if his target is well known. Currently them showing him on a map what they know about the Red Tower, because they believe that it was a part of Mount Lady's leg at some point. And Izuku, he does go to confirm the area he believes it to be in. However, they do show him another area. Them trying to insist it's on this street instead. And Deku, he does understand. They are taking a massive risk here. But if Izuku is actually going to do this, it's going to save them and many people their lives. The entire city won't know it, but they'll owe him. Hell, he's going to be a fucking legend. The man who died taking out the hive? Hell, that's if they tell anybody. His name will live on, just not the way these people might expect, especially if they try and keep that under wraps. Take responsibility for it, and they have more power, more pull, and more sway. I mean, it's certainly good for them. And there currently is Izuku, who doesn't have the massive semi-truck begin to roll forwards. Currently, him swinging the steering wheel as he does begin to drive, picking up speed and driving down the off-ramp, before going to make a fast turn and hit a lamppost. Currently, him beginning to continue with the heavy freighter moving fast. And Deku, he does begin to pick up speed. Now, Deku is beginning to drive, and right now he has a lot going through his head. Currently, him turning and pressing on the radio. Him hearing one of Jiro's songs go to play, as he's going to turn it up and put his foot down. Him shifting to the next gear as he does continue to drive. Now, Deku is trying to pay attention. He drives straight for 2 blocks. Him trying to swerve around the road and evade some cars. However, whenever he does smash into some, he does try to maintain speed, build back up, and do what he can. The engine, it is armored. The front of it is armored. However, it's only to keep that thing safe and running. When this bomb goes off, it's going to blow anyway. And Izuku, he currently does go to turn onto a street. Currently, him bringing his own hand up as some of the zombies, they are packed together into a pile. And Deku does actually shift in the next gear, as currently going to bring his hand up and pull onto the horn. Some of the zombies turn their heads and begin to make their way towards him. And they're actually Izuku, who does go to smash into the pile of them and bury his way through. Currently, him hearing a meaty thwap along with a few crunches. And Deku does have the front of his rig covered in blood. Currently, him shifting back into the lower gear and continuing his speed. And Deku, he does hear that massive rig whirl with the engine. Him turning left as right now he would go to turn to the street he believes that the hive entrance might be further down. And Deku, he does continue to drive. Right now him bring up his radio and talking about how he's on, saying the street. And the people, they do at least go to try and respond to Izuku, talking about how he's on the wrong street. But Deku, he doesn't really care. All he knows is what he's going to do. All he knows is everything going through his head. Currently Deku still driving, shifting into the next gear as his eyes do to bloodshot red, before his pupils dilate to high hell. And Deku, he does continue to drive. Right now him continuing forwards. Currently making his way down the block as other zombies are beginning to take notice of Deku's rig. And currently, there are some. As Izuku is driving, he doesn't hear a sound. Him looking in the rearview mirror as something just comes flying down towards the truck. It crashing into the passenger side truck, the passenger side of the truck, as Deku going to turn, bring up his gun and firing at it. Currently, the thing going to fall down as Izuku isn't too sure what the hell that thing is. Looking into the rearview mirror and seeing that it's damaged. Deku turning to look right. Turning to look from the passenger side mirror to the left driver's side mirror. There we go. Fuck. And right now he doesn't get to see anything. Currently, him speeding back up and trying to maintain this. A bit more aware, something is on his ass. In Izuku, he does ignore many other creatures. Some deceivers do see him, but they can see that that is the anomaly. They see the string connected to him, and they are informed to stand down. However, the lesser-minded creatures do continue to attack. They do continue their pursuit of the rig. And there currently is Izuku, who would go to see it in the distance. Currently, him shifting up into the next gear and going to smash into something. Him driving up it as his truck, it does go up, and then he doesn't feel the massive rig slam down with a bit of a wet thud. Currently, the rig beginning to lose traction, and Izuku would shift down in gears. Currently, then putting this thing into neutral, and then letting it just coast down into the massive thing. As Izuku enters into the mouth of the Red Tower, and he does have a lot going through his mind. Currently, him radioing in about how he made it inside, and people on the radio frequencies are listening in. Some of them know about the operation. Bucko and his group now know about the operation. And they're currently in Setsuna, who does sit there, her a bit more concerned. And there actually is Izuku, who currently, he does, gonna bring his hand up. Currently, him forcing the button down and still shifting into gears, expressing a few things, talking about what he's seeing down here. And Deku, he is actually coasting down further. Before, he was going to see something strange. Him looking up and being confused. And Deku, he does begin to actually hear a sound. Him screaming out in pain and grabbing at his head. Currently, him turning the steering wheel as it is going to hydroplane further and further down. Currently, Izuku going to smash down and land into something. The rig sitting there as Deku, he doesn't lay there in the truck for a minute. Currently, everybody trying to radio back in and asking if he's inside, if he's actually in the pit. And they're asking if he can respond. And currently Izuku, he doesn't lay there. As right now, Deku is in the heart of the monster. Currently, him laying there in the truck and trying to get back up. Before there actually is, where does he hear something? Currently, him hearing something batter against the windshield and bringing his hands up. Currently, everybody listening to the sounds. Deku's still holding the radio. As there's one gunshot, there's two, there's three, there's four. Then there's click. And all Deku does gonna do is yell to come at him. Come on! He's right fucking here! He's right! That being where that's gonna cut out. And the person on the other end, they do just won't listen. Because Izuku, clearly he's already been killed. He's already been brought to the hive. He's already been taken. And they do hold the detonator in their hand. Them going to click. Before they do to wait. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And nothing happens. Them clicking again. And clicking again. And they do click over and over and over. As right now there's something wrong. The plan did not go accordingly. Something happened with the bomb. Something happened with the detonator. And it is clearly not good. And there actually is Bakugo. Bakugo is standing there on the outskirts of the city. They should have felt the boom. They should have felt something. seen the clouds rise in the distance, but they didn't. They didn't see anything. And currently we do actually cut to the hive, where Zuko, whenever he was pulled out of that truck and away from his radio, he used his knife and slashed at the tendrils currently covering him. Currently, him stabbing into many of them as he would turn. Him seeing a few things. The fleshy cavern all around him. And Deku, whenever he does a slice into something, it does a shriek out. It, letting go as Deku, does a land onto the ground. Him turning and bringing his hands down, climbing back to his feet, and going to run over. Currently, him grabbing onto the truck and going to try and climb back up. And Deku, when he feels something wrap around his leg, he would look down. We're now him trying to turn as he would try and bring his knife out. However, there is actually where he does a rip him away from the truck. Deku feeling his fingers dig into the actual metal as he is a turn. We're now him being sent flying through the air and smashing into the wall. Izuku hitting into the wall and feeling his back break. Before he has a fall onto the ground and then gonna lay there for a second. Him gonna turn. As the creature, it does begin to descend on him. And Deku does just not stare at it. Currently, him bringing his hand up as it would grab onto him. It bending down and grabbing Izuku. And Deku, here's going to bring up the knife, stabbing it into their face as this thing does a shriek out. Before it would just speak out about how he threatens the hive. He will not harm her spawn. He will not harm her babies. And Deku stares at the massive monster. Currently him looking around. And there's creatures all about. And Deku, he does gonna look around. He's not sure what's going on. Before he actually is carried over to a cliff. Currently him looking down and seeing the horror of the pit. Seeing the horror of the hive. And currently the monster, it would go to express to him how he needs to look. Him turning his head. The creature holding Izuku and turning him around itself. And Deku would look far down, seeing more of these monsters. And there actually is where a massive monster does sit there below the pit. It sits there close to that fucking pool down below them. What in God's name is all this? Deku gonna turn. And he does, gonna bring his hands up, grabbing onto the monster. As the monster does gonna do one thing. It would turn back. It bring its hand up, grabbing Izuku, and informing him. The pit wants him. He is the missing piece. It will be made whole. And Deku, he was going to try and bring his hands up, trying to grab this monster and get back on to land. And currently Deku, he can't bring himself around. All he can do is try to batter away at its hands, which are holding him. Try and hold on for dear life. Before this thing, let's go. And Izuku finds himself falling, staring at the monsters that await him, staring at everything that does await him. And currently Izuku smashes down into the pit. Right now him hitting the water and everything that scalded his skin. Currently Deku crawling to the top of the surface and bringing his hands up, screaming out in agony. And the creature, it does not sit there. It's watching on. And there actually is Deku. Whoever he does get to the surface, he was going to bring up his hand. The flesh and skin melted away. Currently, his bones begin to deteriorate as well. And Deku, here's a turn, looking over and trying to swim. He's in immense pain, but he can't allow this thing to take him. He can't allow it to. Currently, tendrils shooting out of the water. Them wrapping around Izuku as Deku, he is pulled below. Him bringing his hands out and trying to still swim. And Izuku, that's the last thing he does go to remember. Before the pit, it does sit there. And it feels rather odd. It feels different. It feels complete. Now, with that being said, currently Izuku Midoriya is gone. And right now the other groups are trying to figure a few things out. There's currently Bakugo. And then there's Kendo. The two do lay there. In his bed. He talked to Izuku. He saw him off. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't scared. Honestly, the idea that he's gone, that he's dead, it doesn't even register in his mind. He's seen that guy shrug off so much shit. And this is what took him down? I mean, fuck. The Izuku he knew was never like that. And it does concern him. It stresses him the hell out. Deku was a leader. But what kind of fucking leader is he gonna be? He needs to toughen up. And Bakugo does try to express this to Kendo. He's not sure what to do. Especially because Izuku asked him for a promise. And it was the last thing he ever said to him. One of them. Though, it does have him concerned. What if he turns out like Deku? And Kendo does try to tell him about how she's here to make sure that that doesn't happen. Besides, if he does go too far, she'll let him know. Though, is he okay? No. I'm not. I'm just won't sit up. Thinking about a few things. The idea to drop the search for his dad. It has crossed his mind. He's probably dead. He wants to not believe that. He wants to go out and search. Ask the other groups, ask the military. Hell. Deku shot a fucking psycho doctor with guns pointed at him, and they still didn't pull the fucking trigger. I mean, if he could tell himself 2 years ago what Deku would turn into, it doesn't matter now. That being the last thought Bakugo does have. And we do currently have Setsuna, who does just not sit there. Her stressing out, crying. It didn't work. The plan didn't work. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.